Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Gas lines. Iran hostage crisis, 21% interest rates. I used to defend you against all that stuff, Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy.
I used to point out the Israel-Egypt peace accords, and I used to point out that you didn't get one American soldier killed in a conflict. And I used to point out all these wonderful things about James Earl Carter. And now
Jimmy.
I'm mad. Willie Nelson is your freaking friend, man.
Why,
He
Jimmy?
smoked a joint on the roof of the White House. Your son Chip was a marijuana smoker. May still be a marijuana smoker for all I know. President Carter.
Jimmy.
Now, again, in his quotes, what I detect from this is the Pattrick Kennedy worry of big tobacco.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's like their biggest concern is that they're going to, pick up where Big Tobacco left off 20 years ago, with the advertising and the cartoon characters and, targeted billboards right across the street from high schools and that kind of crap.
Right. And this is such slick political maneuvering because if you're trying to get a liberal on your side, you can use the big tobacco thing, right? Because that conjures up a whole bunch of stuff that liberals are like, big corporations and nasty machinations of business and the poisoning and the lies and the colluding with government and blah, 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 blah. It's a big, big welcome mat.
It's a can of worms.
Big welcome mat for liberals, all right? So I can see how this is working. And I can just imagine the conversations and the way they frame it, and they say, well, see, look at what they've got over in California already. They've already got so-called medical marijuana, and look what they've got. They've got right out there on the Venice Boardwalk, where kids are walking by every day, girls in bikinis that say 420 nurses, spinning signs to get a $35 recommendation to get your medical marijuana card for anything. And then you can go right in there and buy marijuana. And everywhere you walk, it smells like marijuana. And there's pot leaves everywhere, green crosses and pot leaves. And try going to Denver. Oh, you look in Denver, there's pot leaves and green crosses everywhere you go. And that's just under medical. And can you imagine once it's legalized and then these big corporations like Philip Morris, Altria get behind it and they start mass marketing it and having, they'll be buying Super Bowl commercials and sponsoring NASCAR cars. And the next thing you know, people will be seeing it everywhere they go, and we won't be able to keep little Johnny and Jilly from seeing marijuana leaves. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know that's how it goes. I can just hear that.
But what they, got to realize is they need to do some research. California is California.
California is California.
California is California. The rest of the country is the rest of the country. Now, in Colorado, they have laws against those sign spinners. Mm-hmm. They can't do any advertising within certain distances from schools, and they can't have this. Most of the businesses that are like that, the owners of the buildings won't allow them to put big pot leaves up. Mm-hmm. That's
And of course, the ultimate...
it's like that here in Oregon, too. You know?
The ultimate rejoinder to all of this scaremongering is, how come we wouldn't apply the lessons from big tobacco to the emerging big marijuana? Why is it that when we legalize marijuana, suddenly Will Smith showed up with his little Men in Black thing and blinked out of our memory the past 60 years of dealing with big tobacco? Why would we not create regulations that say, hey, you can't advertise within 1,000 feet of a school. Hey, you can't advertise in color. I mean, some of the regulations that they're coming up with now for tobacco, have you seen them?
Oh,
I
love it.
You can't advertise in color. You can't advertise with sound effects. You can't advertise with songs in the background.
And in Australia, all of the tobacco packages are identical. They're yellow and black, and there's no branding on them at all.
Yeah.
Just warnings.
Yeah. There's all sorts of ways you can deal with this. For them, for these people to keep, these Project Sam douchebags to keep talking about, oh, you're presenting a false dichotomy between incarceration and legalization, right? No, you're presenting the false dichotomy between legalization and caring for the children. Or legalization and reducing marijuana problems, marijuana use.
Yeah.
No, you can support legalization as the way to keep her from the kids. You can support legalization as the way to reduce the harm.
I was saying the false dichotomy of believing that marijuana is anything like tobacco.
Yeah, well, there you go, too. That's the other thing. They like to say, oh, well, you know how big tobacco...
it's smoking, you know.
They lied about how addictive their product was, and they lied about how harmful it was, and the marijuana side's doing the same thing. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back from break here. We'll talk about why big marijuana doesn't have to lie. That's the difference. Big marijuana can tell the truth.
We have facts.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215. Or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
Mach die Tür zu. Mach die Tür zu. Mach die Tür zu.
The road of individuality is not a straight line. The way you snuck up on me, words cannot define. From me to you, people of speciality make me feel fine. Cashmere sweaters, sweet wine, love.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Toker Talk Radio, and bye, Carrie. If you didn't know, Peace Parody is Cannabis Carrie.
Oh, Carrie's
Uh-oh, I blew your secret identity. Sorry, Carrie. Now you have to make a new login, Stinky McDoobie, something like that.
Nah. Doobie McTokes a lot?
Doobie McTokes a lot, there we go. So, see you on Herb Show. I hope that's in person. That'd be cool.
Hey.
All right, so I wanted to get back to the rest of this little mini rant.
Jimmy, Jimmy. Jimmy, why Jimmy?
Damn it, Jimmy.
Jimmy. Hey,
so here's the other side of it, is the whole we must fear big movement, right? This is the thing coming out of Project Sam that I believe is what flipped Jimmy Carter, is the fear of the commercialization of marijuana. And first of all, you have to dismiss the fact that there already is a big marijuana. It's called El Marijuana Grande, though. It's El Mota Grande. It's the Sinaloa cartel. It's the Juarez cartel, right? That's your big marijuana right now. All right, so ignore that for the moment, right? And the argument of the whole scare of big marijuana will be like big tobacco is in two parts. And the one part is they'll target kids. They'll target the kids. They'll advertise and target to the kids. They have to target the kids.
Because that, it's a business thing. It's a marketing thing. The next generation of your legal age, users is always coming up. It's a new crop every year.
Right.
So that's their fear, but just because, other companies target to kids, that's not the marijuana niche. That's not the type of the people that we want consuming it.
Right.
So we're not going to be advertising to people that we don't care to consume it. It's not nonsensical.
Right. And so part of this, the first part of this is why would we forget the lessons of the past 60 years with big tobacco and not restrict advertising and targeting in the first place? But the second part of it is why did tobacco have to target kids in the first place? Now, here's why, right? When you're 12 to 16 years old, you can put a cigarette to your face, and despite the fact that it just about makes you puke and it's the worst thing you ever did, ever,
yeah.
Because of peer pressure and wanting to fit in, as young adolescents do, you'll continue to do it long enough to fit in
down.
To acquire that addiction to tobacco. On the other hand, if you're a 30-year-old man and you are handed your first cigarette and you inhale it, you'll go, fuck, this sucks, and you'll never do it again. That's why big tobacco had to target the kids. Those are the people you get. Those are the customers. If you wait till they're 21 or 25 or whatever, they're not going to start.
Well, plus the other reason is they were selling a product that they knew without a doubt was harmful and was going to shorten the life expectancy of their users, of their, core monetary source. So they had to enlist a new group to make
you got to get them young enough to make money off them.
Yeah, you've got to make money off them for long enough.
If they start smoking at 50 and die at 55,
then then they haven't made their profit.
I thought of that aspect. That's good too.
Oh, that was one of the main things that I've kept in mind. Those reward systems, the Marlboro Miles and the Camel Bucks, Camel Cash. Those were like incentives to kill yourself quicker.
There you go.
They're like, oh, hey, you, looks like you've got, 40 packs a week down, send us the tickets from a month's worth of that, and hey, we'll give you a jacket.
There you go, windbreaker. How nice.
Yeah. Lovely.
So
a nice Zippo.
So they have to go after the kids because those are the only ones that are really going to start their product. Marijuana doesn't have that problem.
Yeah,
and the way that Kevin Sabet, the Pattrick Kennedys want to try to sell this is they'll point to some statistics and go, oh, look, see, most of the people that smoke marijuana are between the ages of 17 and 22. That's where and the age of initiation is 17. So obviously they're going to go after the kids. Wrong. The reason the age of initiation is so young is because, number one, it's a relatively harmless drug and it's not that scary to try. And number two, as you get to be 22, 23, you got a job, you got kids, you got a family, and all sorts of pressures not to smoke. We are seeing now in the states that have medical marijuana, and now that there's a resurgent support for a legalization of marijuana, that the biggest growing segment of marijuana smokers are people over the age of 50. Why? Because it's the perfect drug if you're over the age of 50. Inflammation, pain, anxiety, nausea. Are you kidding? That's the typical wake up for some people, man. Of course more people are going to use it. Marijuana will be completely unlike tobacco in that once it's legal, the target audience is going to be people over the age of 25. It's going to be a more adult audience.
Yeah, and I think that their premise that a 17-year-old is still a child is kind of insulting. Because they're nearing 18. They're nearing their age where you can put a gun in their hand, and have them fight for their country, and they can buy cigarettes at that point. A lot of states they can drink, Canada they can drink.
Canada.
A lot of provinces they can
provinces,
drink.
There we
go. But, I mean, seriously, they still think that 17-year-olds are children? I mean, I'd say that once you start high school, you're entering your adulthood.
Well, I have all sorts of, radical ideas on that. I wouldn't tie a lot of our privileges to how old
Age.
you are.
Yeah,
I would have a maximum age. Like once you hit 25, you get all your privileges regardless. I would tie privileges to, completion of education, civic service, enlistments, all sorts of that. But let's not go off on that.
Or proven ability.
Yeah, let's not go off on that tangent, man. You want to lower dropout rates, tie the age of being able to legally smoke pot to getting your diploma or GED. Yeah. Bam. All right, look.
Incentive program there.
But let me get to the other part of this, the other side of this, because there's the first part of the tobacco argument, and I'm trying to convince Jimmy Carter here. The first side that they try to argue is, well, they'll target the kids and the advertising. And the other side is they have to target the kids because they need to get the younger customers. I hope I've debunked both of those. The third part of this, with the whole big tobacco argument, is, Big Tobacco lied about how harmful and addictive their product was. Well, here's where marijuana differs for that, President Carter, is that Big Tobacco had to lie. They had a product that causes lung cancer. They had a product that they were spiking to make even more addictive.
Yeah.
Right? So we would already know the lesson of that now and make regulations for the marijuana market that says you can't spike it, you can't do this, you can't do that. So that part's taken care of. And this other part with the worry about Big Tobacco lying about how harmful or addictive it is, we are finding I have a folder where I keep track of the Ask Dr. Mitch stories, and in the past 2 weeks, I've come up with 7 different studies I got to ask him about. Lower resting insulin, lower waist circumference, reduced risk of bladder cancer, no difference in reduced risk of head, neck, and lung cancers, staving off Alzheimer's disease. I can go on and on and on. Yeah. Marijuana doesn't have to lie. In fact, it has to kind of tamp down its truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when the people who are, actually have experienced cannabis, they come out and they say, oh, well, it's good for this, and it's this, and it's this, and it's basically everything. The people who don't understand, they're just like, oh, well, you're just a frickin' hippie pothead. You think it's gonna be good, it's good for everything. You just want to smoke your dope. No, it really is good for just about everything.
It's good for a lot of things.
I've got a PDF file that has links to over 900 different case studies on cannabis and its effectiveness for treating different disorders or conditions. You don't... I mean, seriously, have you heard of the Google?
Yes.
Endocannabinoid system.
Well, there's another thing. We don't have an endonicotoid system.
Yeah,
no endonicotoid system.
I bet if they did studies on the CB1 and 2 receptors of the brain, they'd probably find that nicotine shuts them off.
Yeah, we'll have to find out.
We should look into this.
I'm willing to look into all the science, man. But this is what's so sad is that this argument, and I believe, because the way President Carter's remarks came out, and let me see if I can find that quote again, that led me to feel like, yes, this is coached from Kevin Sabet. And let's see. Oh, could you get the doorbell? It says, we must discourage, must be found responsible. Where is that damn? Yeah, worries about legal marijuana being marketed to kids, presumes marijuana revenues will be outweighed by the cost of abuse, and favors arrests for users that lead to treatment assessments and warning hearings. There we go. And Bacon Dan has made it into the studio. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing quite good.
You ready to slam Sam with us?
Yes. And I brought some tincture.
What's it? Oh, let me get a little Dan cam going here. Yeah. So it's got the right cam on you. There we go. Yeah, pull that up nice and close. People can see that.
Yeah, very, very nice too. I'm quite a fan.
All right.
Is that a alcohol-based tincture or a glycerin-based tincture?
Glycerin.
Yeah, you can usually tell when you first taste it or smell it because it'll either burn or it'll be nice and smooth.
Yep. Yeah, I like the glycerin.
Burns.
Like the glycerin.
Yeah,
ones.
I love glycerin tinctures. Now
in Washington State,
yes,
you can have a 6-pack of that legally and not be a patient.
That'd be awesome.
But you cannot buy it in any of their stores.
Right.
No, they'll sell the infused liquids.
No, there was a...
No, they won't sell hash or hash oil or concentrates unless they're infused into liquids or edibles. But they won't. You won't get to buy like a gram of shatter at the Washington State store. But if someone takes a gram of shatter and bakes it into some brownies, you'll be able to buy that just fine. And yes, 72 ounces of liquid infused cannabis products like that glycerin tincture there. Oh! What a perfect time.
I know.
I
timed it perfectly.
I couldn't even drink 1 ounce of that tincture and still be awake.
No kidding.
72. Oh.
Well.
Well, we got some hash here.
We'll take.
Let's smoke.
Be right back.
Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Let him bring in the beat. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let him bring in the beat.
Welcome back. That's Pace One and Mr. Green with Children Sing. And I want to thank Cannabis Carrie for showing up in our chat room a little bit earlier today under her secret identity, Peace Parity. So if you were chatting with Peace Parity, then you were chatting with Carrie.
Yeah.
So all sorts of fun things happening here at Rolla J Studios. First of all, the landlord has decided to go with new tenants, so I am out of this house July 1st.
Oh, no.
Absolutely out.
Wah, wah, wah.
Now, the reason this sucks in a major way is because I am out of this house physically on May 29th.
And you will not be back
and
until...
I won't be back by July 1st. So I've got to get everything packed and put into storage in the next 2 weeks.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. But that led me with a dilemma. Oh, no. What shall I do with Rolla J Studios?
Que c'est a studio?
I can't set up, Rolla J Studios in a storage place, right?
Right.
So, Herb Thrasher's coming through. He has got a basement as well, with a nice room that we are going to outfit and make Rolla Tide Studios.
Nice!
We're going to have Rolla Tide Studios for about 6 weeks. I'm going to move it next weekend, so that's the weekend of the 25th. And so we will set it up the 25th, 26th. We will do shows from Rolla Tide Studios starting on the 27th over at Herb's place, which is like over off of Sandy.
It's like 20-some blocks from here.
Yeah, it's just 20 or so blocks away from here.
Nice.
The time I'm gone, 29th Aspen through the tour and everything through July,
right,
just happens to coincide with the annual 6-week vacation his wife and daughter take to Alabama. So he doesn't have anyone living there but himself anyway.
Oh, wow.
It's like, wow, did that work out good?
Awesome.
So we're going to do shows over at Herb's place on not this coming Monday, but the next Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday.
So 27th, 28th, and then the 29th we'll be jetting out.
We're jetting out to Aspen. And so the Liebermater will be running on automated at that point. Okay. While Brian and I, so you'll just get replays on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Brian and I will be out in Aspen on Thursday, Friday, Saturday getting video and everything.
Nice.
Brian flies back on Sunday with the video. I'm going to send you with the video.
Yeah.
Or we'll get it fixed and downloaded while we're on the road.
Yeah, we'll get it edited while we're out there.
And then that coming Monday through Thursday, I'll be in Denver. Brian will be back here at Rolla Tide Studios.
Yeah, I'll be over at Herb's at Rolla Tide.
Doing remote engineering of me.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so we'll have live shows, but I will be in Denver doing them. But he'll be in Portland engineering them.
Yes, when Russ was in Boise, he did this.
Yeah, and we'll also have, we'll have live episodes of, well, I guess I could do the Viper Hour as well.
You could do Different View, you could do Viper Hour, or you could
do it all.
Nice.
Every tang, man.
Every tang. So, yeah, we'll have...
every little tang.
So I'll be live in Denver for the first week of June, and then that Friday, or that Thursday, or Friday, I think it's Friday, I fly to Dallas-Fort Worth to do the Texas regional thing, And then, for the next 4 weeks in June, I'll be on the road doing as many live shows as I can, depending on the travel schedule.
Right.
With Brian engineering them, and then the 8 p.m. shows will go on, and there we go.
Nice.
Now, sometime in that June period, I have to find a place to live, a place that me and 2 roommates can live in without me being here in the town.
I know. This is going to take...
This is the one I haven't figured out yet.
This is going to take a master of prestidigitation here.
Yes.
So.
But Iva will still be here, and she loves looking at houses. So what I may end up doing is, through the internet, narrowing down my list, then send Iva out to scout them.
Nice.
She'll know which ones are good.
Right.
And then try and do it that way.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I don't know.
And for those who don't know, prestidigitation is sleight of hand or magic.
Very nice word.
So I have a funny smoking story that I was told last night by Ganja John.
All right. Smoking story.
So hanging out at John's house and at his new little dab station that he has set up, which is very nice. And he was telling me about a time he was hanging in L.A. and he's hanging with Doug Benson, which that in itself, I'm like, that's already really cool. So they're hanging at this comic book store that has a comedy club built into it, which apparently, like, if you can play at this place, you are up and coming. Like, you are a good comic. So they're him and Doug are hanging out behind the shop, and these 2 English guys walk over. And he's talking to him, and he offers, there's an older guy and a younger guy. And he offers the younger guy, hey, would you like the dab? He's like, oh, no, thank you so much. I would really like to, but I have to drive later, so it's probably not the best idea. Okay, cool. Shook his hand. The whole time, John's going, I know that guy. And the guy introduced himself as Matt. It was Matt Smith, the current Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
And as a huge Doctor Who fan, I'm just like,
snap.
Like, I couldn't even make a sound. Because that is just too cool. And that's just...
Not even an eep came from Dan.
Not even an eep. It was just a...
Jaw dropped.
And John's so... And you know John, he's so nonchalant about it. He's like, yeah,
he's like
Doctor Who.
He's like, yeah. He's like, who are you? Nah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
It can happen in our little...
It's a wickety-schnickety.
Lots of people like weed. This is what I've discovered.
Yeah.
Lots of people like weed, even famous ones.
And it's understandable, too.
Well, yeah.
Because it's such a great substance.
It's like,
it's social.
When we were talking to Steve Bloom, and he's like, well, I don't know why all these UFC guys like marijuana. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever had your arm in an arm bar?
Yeah.
Some flexibility. Yeah. Flexibility helps.
Yeah, and pain management.
And big rumor right now is that Rob Van Dam is signing a new contract with WWE.
Oh, really?
Because he's done with TNA and down in Florida. And that would be really interesting because of how loud he is about his love of marijuana.
Yeah.
And also, that would be very interesting because that he may make his way through town.
Yes, and MVP is rumored to be coming back to WWE as well, which I know you've gotten to meet.
Yeah, I was able to meet Montel Vontavious Porter. That's just show stage name though. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a really good guy. Great guy actually. I smoked him a bowl down at the Cannabis Cafe a couple years ago.
Known a few wrestlers that come through.
And
so cool.
and before he took off, I said, "Hey, here, take this nug."
Yeah, a lot of them.
He was like, "Oh, thank you so much."
A lot of good friends of Smoke Dogs. That I've met through.
Yeah, a lot of the wrestling guys. Smoke Dog, Ralph Martinez Sr. of the Cannabis Cafe.
Nice.
He's well known because they came up from LA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, I want to go back to some marijuana talk here. Oddly enough.
My gosh.
Wait, what? You're talking about
marijuana?
We talk about this on the show? My gosh.
Marijuana?
Yep. So that DuPont story that they did earlier.
Don't get me started
where
on
basically
DuPont.
He says that marijuana killed the dreams of Johar Tsarnaev. So that was what opened the door for his radicalization to become a terrorist bomber, right?
All right. Wow.
What happened to me? I never became a bomber.
I guess you just...
No, you
I
just
probably
smoke
have more,
a
I probably
bomber.
You
have
just
more
lack initiative,
skills
Brian.
at it.
If only you'd applied yourself.
Yeah. Damn. Okay.
Wow.
Well, the next naked bike race. Watch out. No, I'm just fucking joking. That's wrong. No,
that's wrong. But no, here's. I wanted to go over the quote at the end because I got to the end of the rant. I didn't really get to expound on his solution.
Yes.
His solution. This is his quote. What if Jahar had been required to take drug tests to obtain and maintain a driver's license? Might he have changed his behavior if faced with real and immediate certain consequences for his drug use?
No.
What about the tens of thousands of kids nationwide who are caught in similar drug-induced downward spirals? New technologies make minimally invasive drug testing part of a practical approach to preventing and identifying drug problems early. Can our society afford to ignore the measures that are available to encourage young people to find positive drug-free directions for their lives?
Okay.
Now, before we go, let me translate. You bastards. If you don't buy drug tests from my country, terrorists will bomb your children. There we go. All right, go ahead.
That's fear-mongering right at its best right there.
That minimal part, where is that?
Yeah, the minimal. They're minimally invasive drug tests.
Okay, so minimally invasive, really? Let's start off with immediate lack of trust. Broken between parent and child, between child and teacher, between, between families, between social organizations, between clubs. It's like, good God, we're having to piss test little girls to play the fucking tuba. Are you serious?
Yep.
I mean, there's something seriously wrong with a society like this, and it's not that there's marijuana, because that's always been there. Mm-hmm. It's that there are bad laws against marijuana, which have been recently imposed and, forced onto the rest of the world because of the power of our supposed nation.
So I looked it up, because you know me, I look stuff up. We got to see how bad things have gotten.
Oh my God, the children.
How we need to worry now. Okay,
so many more people are going to be smoking now that it's legal. You better watch out for your kids.
All right. So what we have here is a table that I generated.
That was almost Macho Man Randy Savage there.
It was almost.
Oh, don't get me started.
I was kind of crazy and I got a little hot.
It's all right. Slim Jim. Hey,
Snake Man, I'm coming for you.
Snake Man, watch out.
Sorry to digress there for a second.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I got to get this set up so that we can actually see the whole thing. So you guys can go ahead and do wrestling for a while.
Right, yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, because people having regular access to cannabis, either medicinally or recreationally, of course it's bad for them. Myself included, where now that I've left the East Coast, I'm living healthier. I've lost 25 pounds since leaving the East Coast.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. I have people, when I Skype my family back home, they're like, wow, you just look better. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, it makes your skin feel really good. There was a post from Erin earlier saying that she loves waking up in the morning and feeling how smooth her skin is because she takes the Simpson oil caps at night.
Yep.
All right, so I got this set up.
Yay.
These are tables generated straight from the federal government's database, the National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Actually, this was the National Household Survey on Drug Abuse. They changed the name in the 90s, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice. They took drug abuse out. That was good.
That's so nice.
But it was 1979, and what we're coding here is whether or not someone used marijuana in the past month. And the columns along the top, you got your 12 to 17-year-olds, got your 18 to 25-year-olds, you got your 26 and older. Now, overall totals are on the right, and the totals by age are along the bottom. And what we find is that nationwide, 12.8% of the people in 1979 smoked pot. That was 16.8% of teenagers, 35% of college age, and 6% of adults. Okay? So if you'll just imagine kind of a big bell curve that's weighted toward the left, weighted toward the young, right? We're going to find out what happens to that. How bad does marijuana get? How does marijuana use change so that we can see why we need to have this panic, why we've got this scare, why it's become so bad?
I don't know. Marijuana helped me throw the grading curve in school.
So I'm going to leave those numbers up just so you can base them. There's your 1979s. And when we come back, we'll get into the DeLorean.
Yes.
We'll hop 6 years at a time and see what happens.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
Have you considered medical marijuana? Double-blind, peer-reviewed studies have found cannabinoid therapies to be successful in treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, brain cancer, chronic pain, diabetes mellitus, dystonia, fibromyalgia, GI disorders, hepatitis C, HIV/AIDS, hypertension, incontinence, MRSA, multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, pruritus, rheumatoid arthritis, sleep apnea, and Tourette's syndrome, as well as anecdotal evidence in suggesting relief from anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress, plus reduction in the need for narcotic painkillers. Side effects from medical marijuana can include euphoria, relaxation, anxiety, panic reaction, paranoia, tachycardia, dry eyes, dry mouth, concentration and reaction time impairments, appetite increase, and in some U.S. states, arrest and incarceration. But medical marijuana is non-toxic and cannot cause overdose. Medical marijuana, it's not for everyone, but ask your doctor if medical marijuana may be right for you.
I like it like that.
Well, I don't know what you came to do, but what we can keep the funk alive.
That's right, baby. We're keeping the funk alive right here at Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Ring, your groovy home of soul, funk, and disco. So join me, Big Daddy, every Thursday night at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific at the Funky Roller Ring, where every night is Saturday night.
Oh, Babylon to stop hide and I win and ride. Half of me angry and love get high. I stand myself. Woke up this morning.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Storm, or actually STORM, with Gimme the Trees. Nice. All right. So I was going over these statistics. I left them up on the board here. And want to just kind of see just how bad marijuana has gotten because, you know, there's this big panic over it. It's become legalized. Now, this was the, of course, this is 1979 numbers with 16.8% of teenagers that smoke pot. That's almost 4 million teenagers, 3.9 million teenagers that smoke pot. And 23 out of 23 million, right? So that's 16.8% of them. And almost 11.5 million college-age adults had smoked pot. Now, we're going to fast forward here to 1985. Now, 1985 just happens to be the year I graduated high school. So, as we look at this, in my high school cohort, 12 to 17-year-olds, teenagers, 11.9% of us smoke pot. That's 2.5 million, right? So pot smoking went down throughout the early 80s. Right, down to 11.9, 21.9 for the for this age group, the 18 to 25-year-olds, and that's down from 35%, and then 6% of the over 26. So it didn't really change much for the adults. Right. 6% of adults were still smoking. All right, so now we'll move to 1991. Now, 91 is the lowest number we get.
And that's surprising.
Yeah. The middle of George H.W. Bush, after 10 years of Ronnie, Nancy, just say no kind of politics.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the crack cocaine scare and drugs are bad, all that stuff.
Yes. Crack is whack.
We get down to 4.3% for the teenagers and 13% for the college age kids and 3.3% for the adults, right? So it actually dropped in half for just about every group.
That's really surprising because you figure that's around the era that I'll just, great stoner movie PCU. Yeah. That's that era, yep. And there was a fair amount of smoking attached to that movie. And so you figure
just
that's
one hit.
Yeah,
just one.
I didn't exhale.
Blow me where the Pampers is.
I love that line. He's like, I didn't exhale. Works for me.
Works for me, man. Yeah.
All right. So now on this one, what we get is this is now forward to 1997.
Okay.
And we're doubling the pot smoking among teenagers to 9.4%. We're just about the same among the college age kids. It's still 12.8% among the college kids. It was 13 the 6 years before. And then among the adults, it's still 3.3.
Okay.
So it only doubled among teenagers throughout the early 90s, up to 97. Now we move ourselves up into 2003. pot smoking declines slightly among teenagers. It increases a bunch to 17.2 among the 18 to 25-year-olds, and a little bit among the adults. And finally, to 2009, where we're at now, declined again among the teenagers, increased a little among the young adults to 18.6, and increased again amongst the adults to 4.5. So what I'm seeing here, and what I'm trying to show, is that this fear that the big tobacco is, or the big marijuana is going to target the kids because that's where the business is, doesn't seem to match what we're seeing here with the data.
Right.
It seems like the business is in that 18 to 25-year-old group. Now, if that's what they're worried about, what about the children? We're talking about adults.
Yeah.
They're 18.
I know. That's kind of what I was making the argument with before. You said that the beginning age of the highest use is 17. That's the initiation age. And that is not young. I'm sorry. These are, they're called young adults. They're not children anymore. So stop, stop the WOTC.
Well, now that gets into the thorny discussion of what age should it be if there's an age.
Right.
And, the SAM people will argue, well, the brain doesn't stop developing until it's 25. Well, then set the alcohol age then.
Exactly.
At 25. Look, if we have an alcohol age that's 21 and we have a tobacco age that's 18, if we were grading ages by relative harm, the marijuana age would be 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's obviously not the scale we're using, right? Well, we allow 18-year-olds to get cigarettes in some states, 19 in some states.
Right.
Why do we not hear for a big push from Project SAM to raise the tobacco age to 21?
Well, they were trying that here in Oregon.
Yeah.
Which I think was smart.
I actually liked that idea when they proposed the bill.
Yes.
Some people thought that it was kind of like a joke, but
it makes sense, why not? If like you said, if the brain's still developing,
we're trying to reduce harm.
Make it 21.
Now, the most recent national survey, I just pulled up the numbers from 2011. The teen pot smoking is at 8%, and that matches where it was in 2003.
Right.
The college age pot smoking's 18.8, which is just about the same as it was in 2009, and about the same as it was in 2003. It was like 17% back in 2003. And the adult smoking is up to 4.9. So the only one that's consistently increasing here is age 26 and older. The other two are fluctuating a bit, going up and down, up and down.
Yeah, because that's the time that people experiment.
Right.
Their late teens, early 20s is when they're, getting out of high school and into college, and they say there's a time and a place for everything, and it's called college for a reason.
Right. Well, I mean, and also, if you look at it as since 2000, yes, the older crowd is getting more informed because things like social media are making information so much easier. I'm a perfect example.
Yeah.
When I was 18 years old in 2002, and I graduated high school, I was so anti-pot. Which is funny because I loved old comedians and I had all the Cheech and Chong movies that my mom had bought for me. And I'm like, oh, it's funny, but I just never wanted to do it. I was, I had bought into everything that was being spoon-fed to me. And when I was 18 years old, I went to Europe. And I got to see, wow, my eyes were just open to everything. I went to London, I went to Paris, I went to Dublin, and I spent time in Wales. And I came back from that trip changed. And I was like, well, you know what? A lot of this crap I've been fed over the years is not really making sense.
Yeah.
And then I just started doing research and getting informed, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, well, I know I've got this issue. That might be able to help it. And then I was 21 the first time I smoked. And it was, I was one of those things where I was like, why am I so against something that everything I'm reading now that's not non-biased is going, well, no, actually, it's not that bad for you, and it doesn't ruin lives.
It could be beneficial for most people.
Yeah. And then when I found out one of my all-time, inspirations in life and hand down on my bucket list of people I just want to shake his hand because, he's like one of my heroes is Sir Richard Branson, who's one of his favorite hobbies is smoking pot with his son on his private island that he owns in the Caribbean.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm going, okay, well, he's super successful. And then I'm like, Willie's still going and all these people. And then, Bill Clinton was the reason I got into saxophone when I was a kid. I didn't inhale. Sure you didn't, Bill.
Sure,
We've
Bill.
all seen the pictures of you and Hillary. You two were huge freaking deadheads. You're not going to bullshit me and tell me I didn't inhale.
Well, no, some people say, there's a joke says that he just put the joint to his lips and told Monica to inhale.
But the reality, Christopher Hitchens, the writer, wrote how when he went to Oxford the same years that Clinton was in Oxford,
right,
and said he was a big fan of the brownies.
So
he may not.
So he
have
might
actually,
not. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've viewed a lot of things.
Do you think Clinton would parse something like that?
But he was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He did say. Remember, what is the definition of is?
Yeah. What is?
I mean, but that's what's happened though. Social media.
Is she blowing me now?
I mean,
or
is it possible for her to blow me?
Right.
All right, go on.
But no, the social media is what really has changed everything, because anything that, people like, if Kevin Sabet had started all this crap in the early 90s, I'd say,
probably have more success.
yes, and it'd have to be success, and people would buy into it more. But now he's saying stuff, and instantly, no matter what he says, someone will go, well, wait a minute, let me just pull this up here, and then I'm going to tweet about that. Actually, you're full of shit.
Someone, Russ.
Yes.
Instantly, not Kevin Sabet.
Yes.
Says, the hell did I just say?
That right there is... Social media is going to be the downfall of the old boys club.
The old regime.
That old way of thinking, because, when you've got senators who say legitimate rape, guess what? You're never going to escape that ever. That is forever on YouTube.
Or binders full of women. Sorry, man.
Yeah. And then
I love it.
How quickly Letterman jumped on it. Adult Swim jumped on it. They had it on Robot Chicken. And it was great. Even in Epic Rap Battles of History, Mitt Romney versus Barack Obama, and then Lincoln comes in and saves the day. And they bring it all up, and it's just true because it's so easy to parody it, because also back, figure in the 90s, before, back in the day, even when you got so excited because you got a brand new AOL disc. All right, time to make a new screen name, free access chat rooms, all that. That was the first exposure, but before then, somebody living in Rochester, New York, like I was, would never have gotten to hear different views from a radio guy here in Portland, Oregon.
They only have the news media that's, paid for by and, supplied by the government. So, all you have to learn is what they have to teach you.
Right.
And that sure ain't much,
Hell, my only view when I was a kid of Oregon was the movie The Goonies.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, I thought the whole state was just like that.
Was all hills and coast.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, it's the Goonies.
And
cool.
tunnels.
That's what people are out there. Okay. And then I come out here, I'm like, wait, they're kind of like that, but at the same time, it's very different.
There are tunnels.
Yes. Shanghai tunnels.
There are tons of frickin' tunnels. Actually, those are just some of the oldest ones. There are newer ones that have been sealed off.
Really?
But, there's this entire ring that goes near the Rose Quarter.
Holy
a
shit.
couple of the bridges are connected.
Yep.
Anyway,
all right. So I some more of these numbers here, because I want to get back to the whole notion that the big marijuana is going to have to target the kids.
Yes,
because that's where the consumers are.
El Moto Grande.
Now we've already pointed out how tobacco had to do that, because once you get a certain age, you're never going to start smoking.
And once you get a certain
age,
you're never going to smoke again because you die.
Right. And both Dan and I are kind of examples of people that have started, who are heavy. We are those chronic cannabis consumers that the company would want as a customer.
Yes.
I didn't start till I was 22. Dan didn't start till he's 21. So there are examples, and this can be shown. But what I wanted to get to here is just the sheer numbers. If you're a company, you want to go after consumers, you need numbers, right?
Yes.
The number of the 18 to 25-year-olds that smoked pot in 1979 was 11.5 million, and 26 and older was 7.6 million, right? But when we get all the way up to 2009, it's 6.2 million in that college age group,
right?
8.7 million in the 26 and older group. The actual population of pot smoking has shifted further to the adult side over the years.
That's awesome.
The age of pot smokers is growing. And once it becomes legal and you don't lose your job or your kids or there's any stigma or get arrested from it, adults are going to flock to marijuana.
Yes.
It's going to be an adult drug. Kids won't want to do it because it won't be cool.
These messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Cast your rise up to the skies. What is it to live and die? Calculated stars.
3 o'clock in the morning, in the city of humidity, staying up with the demon. Way to hide for me to go to sleep.
Welcome back, everybody. Got about 9 minutes left in the show, and that's music from the F&As.
F&A!
The song's called Screwston, and I'll be on tour with the F&As starting June 13th in Tucson, Arizona, June 15th in Tempe, Arizona. Then we make our way to Southern California, then Northern California. We end up in Las Vegas sometime in the late July. So Check us out. The F&N Normal Tour in coordination with Dallas Fort Worth Normal. And my job, I guess I'm the MC educator or something.
And you do educate very well.
I guess that's what I'll do.
MC, that's marijuana conductor.
Marijuana conductor. There we go. All right, so I got a news story here real quick that we'll get in here to finish the weekend. Because this will balance out, President Carter being sucked over to the dark side.
Bad Jimmy.
Bad Jimmy.
Bad Jimmy.
The Organization of American States drug study eyes marijuana legalization. Speaking of Screwston, this is from the Houston Chronicle.
Hey.
Okay. By the way, the Organization of American States, for people who don't know, is kind of a regional political alliance of the Latin states, Latin American states, and South American states. And when I say states, I mean nations, right?
Oh, okay.
Organization of American States, they mean nations. This is not Organization of States in America.
Oh.
We're talking the countries in Latin America.
Okay, because the way I was thinking, I thought you meant Arizona, New Mexico, Texas.
Right. No, we're talking Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela,
and the Mexican states like
Costa Rica,
Chihuahua,
Nicaragua.
I think Mexico's in it too. Anyway, so here it is. An Organization of American States study commissioned in response to calls by some Latin American leaders for rethinking the war on drugs advocates serious discussion of legalizing marijuana.
I love that they put serious in there.
Serious.
It's oh yeah.
The $2.2 million study also notes that, quote, no significant support, end quote, was found among any of its 35 member nations for the, quote, decriminalization or legalization of the trafficking of other illicit drugs, end quote, including cocaine, which most directly affects the region. So while they want serious discussions about legalizing marijuana, they do not want to discuss legalizing any other drug. The study examines 4 different scenarios for confronting the illicit drug trade, which has fueled violent crime and corruption, especially in drug production and transit countries, including destabilizing governments. The 400-page study emphasizes drug abuse as primarily a public health issue and suggests drug abusers should not be criminally prosecuted, but rather treated as ill. Now, again, I don't necessarily have a issue too much with we need to treat drug abuse as a public health issue, because the abuse of drugs, yes, I think is a public health issue.
Right.
But not unless we establish that there is responsible use of marijuana that is not abuse.
Right.
But right now, their whole thing is all use is abuse. Hey, we caught you with marijuana, therefore you're an abuser who needs rehab. No, that don't work.
All use is none yet.
Right.
There we go. So, of course, the drug czar had to pipe in.
Of course.
On this. Actually, it was the spokesman, Raphael Lemaitre. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Raphael. Spokesman for the White House's drug czar said in response to the report that, quote, any suggestion that nations legalize drugs like heroin, cocaine, marijuana, and methamphetamine runs counter to an evidence-based public health approach to drug policy and are not viable alternatives.
Did he just clump in our beautiful marijuana
Yes.
with things like meth and coke?
That
and
also,
heroin?
let's not forget that some of those are legal for medicinal uses.
Yeah.
Hey!
But here's the thing, they have to. they always have to lump them in together. There will be lumping.
Actually, that's true.
No lumping. No, there will be lumping.
They have to do this because that's their job.
Well, that's the scare. And here's the thing, is why it's so patently intellectually dishonest. Serious discussion of legalizing marijuana. Do not want discussion of legalizing any other drug. No, we can't discuss legalizing coke, heroin, marijuana, and methamphetamine. That's not what they were asking you.
Right.
Yeah.
They were asking you about legalization of marijuana, and very clearly not heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine.
Right.
That's what so pisses me off about that response. Answer the damn question. Nobody ever gets to answering the damn question, which is, explain to me why, as a functional adult, I must be convinced to stop smoking marijuana.
Right. Yeah.
Why must I stop smoking pot? Because that's their stand. You must stop smoking pot because bad. That's all we ever get is because bad.
Because somebody said so a long time ago, and we're going to stand by it, by gummit.
What about the children? Okay, I agree. Let's not give it to the children. Let's not even talk about the children. Why should I, a guy with no children who never interfaces with children in any way whatsoever, stop smoking pot?
Well, that was even today on NPR, on my way over here. They had a fear-mongering story because now they said there might be a connection between the Tsarnaev brothers, the older one, and a triple murder in Boston where the people's throats were slit and they were sprinkled with marijuana. Literally, they said that. The bodies were sprinkled with marijuana.
To cover that
What is
next
that, a
week.
calling card? Okay, so...
That'll send a message.
Yeah.
Of something.
Like, I was just driving them going like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, I mean, but back to the kids, it's like Jam Band Fan says, kids won't like it because mom and dad do.
Right.
You know, and the quickest way to make kids not like something, this was proven in one of the earliest episodes of South Park, Chin Pokemon. Okay, as soon as the parents start liking something, the kids lose total interest. Okay, so, you know, if mom and dad are sitting inside the living room smoking a J, then the kid's gonna be like, I'm gonna go play my video games.
Exactly. Take away the forbidden fruit aspect and make this something that is just, you know, boring as hell.
Yes.
You know, when we saw that there was no increase in teen use and some decrease in teen use when states started adopting medical marijuana, part of that to me was like, yeah, it just became boring granny's glaucoma medicine.
Right.
Yeah. It's not forbidden fruit. It's not, you know, so frustrating
it's like,
sometimes.
you know, I mean, and unlike Russ and Dan, I started younger, and I was even informed about it before I, you know, had the chance to try it. And, you know, once I realized how much lies and bullshit the rest of the world was spoon-fed to believe,
oh yeah,
I just wanted to smoke more because it was, you know, anti-everybody else's bullshit.
Yep.
You know?
Go. Hey, before we go, I got to remind everyone that we will be on live tomorrow. At 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Central, for an exclusive album premiere of CDXX Marijuana Music from the Individuals. We'll be playing all 18 tracks and chatting with the guys from the group. So join us on Saturday at 6 if you want to be a part of that and get a little hip-hop going in this joint. So check it out. Also, coming up next, we got Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink. It's A Funky Love Story Part 2, Misled. Little Cool in the Gang coming in this episode.
Nice.
Check that out. And at 8 o'clock tonight, we got Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, 2 hours of rock and metal. Make sure you join us, 8 o'clock Pacific Time. It's been a hell of a week. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for supporting 420 Radio and sticking with us through all of the tribulations. The new site is starting to really hum. I really love it. The store is up. Check it out. For Bacon Dan and Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.
Big Daddy Fink.